Hello everyone, and welcome to the Certificate Management webinar presented by GlobalSign. I'm Julie Olensky with the GlobalSign marketing team, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. I'm happy to introduce today's presenter, John Murray. John is the VP of Enterprise Sales here at GlobalSign and is a PKI expert with a strong passion for sales and consulting. He has over 10 years of experience in the industry and has rolled out certificate solutions to organizations large and small. So please feel free to send any questions you have over to John so we can cover them during the Q&A portion after the presentation. You can submit your questions to John using the questions box in your GoToMeeting control panel. We'll keep track and try to answer them all at the end of the webinar. You can also follow us on Twitter at GlobalSign, where we'll be sharing follow-up materials after today's presentation. And now, over to John.
Thank you very much, Julie. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. Good day, everyone. Again, my name is John Murray, and I'll be taking you through the webinar today. One of the things we kind of wanted to go over here is what we're going to kind of cover today. Primarily, we're going to cover different use cases for digital certificates. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of the options that you have, certificate solution options that are available to you across the GlobalSign product set. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of using a certificate management solution, as well as we're going to dive in a little bit to our platform, the GlobalSign Certificate Center, and kind of take you through a high-level kind of walkthrough of how easy it is to use a certificate management solution. Some of the use cases, most commonly, most people are very familiar with using SSL certificates to secure web properties, whether it's web services, websites for e-commerce, using them in supply chain applications where you're doing machine-to-machine authentication and moving data across the web for all kinds of applications. That's obviously one of the most common, well-known applications of digital certificates. We're also seeing the usage of other types of certificates, such as client certificates for user authentication, which is obviously one of the growing areas. Obviously, with a lot of the breaches that we hear about every day, there's a huge increase in need for multiple factors of authentication. Just some statistics: 76% of network intrusions involve using weak credentials. So there is obviously providing a second factor of authentication is a way to increase security of all kinds of applications. Machine and device authentication is obviously another area where more and more people want to authenticate machines in the corporate network to their directory services. Also, with the increased use of mobile devices, pushing out certificates to mobile devices of all types, tablets, cell phones is another application, and to allow them access to corporate networks or to corporate resources to use a second factor of authentication on other devices other than your traditional PC devices. We're also seeing, organizations in certain industries moving to electronic document signing using digital credentials, because credentials are bound to a particular, personal identity. They can be used to sign all kinds of applications such as Microsoft Office, as well as we have specialized credentials for the Adobe Acrobat environment as well. Again, a traditional kind of thing that has been used for years, but we're seeing also an increase in that is around secure email. Most of your native email clients like Microsoft Outlook and others can use digital certificates to secure not only just digitally sign emails for authentication of who it's coming from, but also with two people using credentials, people can encrypt the communications back and forth very easily using the S-MIME protocol. As well, code signing is, again, a way for organizations to sign their applications and make sure they're coming from a trusted source. With the increases in malware and bad software out there, more and more operating systems such as Windows are requiring that everything be signed. So obviously, another core application of digital certificates is to sign code for global trust. So from a perspective of, how to get certificates and get them to your web servers and get them to your users in your enterprise or in your corporate business, there traditionally have been kind of two approaches. One is more kind of the individual orders where people would have an account. They would tend to order certificates on demand. And a lot of times companies may do this. Multiple people may be ordering certificates, and they may be coming from, so there's multiple accounts in an organization. So there's again, they're difficult to figure out what you've got if there's people that are just buying certificates ad hoc from different vendors, and potentially the same vendor but having separate accounts where there's not one place where you can see everything, your inventory of all the certificates you have in your infrastructure. Which also increases, having that spread out over the organization increases the risk of expiration of certificates, which can cause, obviously, trust messages with websites that are publicly facing. If it's a machine-to-machine, like a supply chain application, things just stop working. The transmission of data and POs and business information just stops. It also increases vetting time because you're not leveraging a kind of centrally located information on the organization. So most orders would probably be vetted or authenticated individually, which would increase the actual time to get certificates. And then it's just the overall spend. What is the organization spending on digital certificates? Not being able to consolidate discounts and so forth to get the best pricing. If you're ordering them individually, it's going to make that more challenging, and you're less likely to get some sort of leverage pricing with your vendors. So the kind of desired way to manage certificates is using a platform like the GlobalSign Certificate Center or a certificate management solution. This type of approach would allow you to have all your certificates in one singular place. So it really simplifies the ordering process, the lifecycle management of the certificates. You can run reports and see when things are expiring. You can have alerts that set up to let you know when things are expiring, so that you don't have things that are expiring without your knowledge. And you're obviously, by centralizing everything, you're going to lower your total cost of ownership of certificates, and you're going to be able to simplify vetting because you're most likely, with solutions like ours, you're able to leverage pre-vetted profiles so that you can instantly issue certificates and they don't get stuck in a vetting process, for a day or two. So the concept of instant issuance. So again, lowering the costs, centralizing the lifecycle management, the key benefit. Instant certificate issuance. You sometimes will have things that expire. You need to get them right away. You're going to find all your information regarding what your costs are and what you're spending in one place. And then there's other options which we can talk about a little bit later about how you can use automatic enrollment and deployment options integration right directly into your enterprise for kind of the ultimate end-to-end solution. With that, I'm going to jump over to instance of our GlobalSign Certificate Center. You can see here that we have a multi-tabbed interface. We kind of refer to this as kind of the one-stop PKI shop, if you will. You can buy any type of digital certificate that your organization might need from one singular place. The nice thing about the way our system works is that you can, it basically works on a dollar balance system. We don't use any sort of markers such as tokens or units or anything like that. It's based on we agree to pricing on certificates. You can load up your account with funds, and then depending on what type of certificate you need, you go to the right area and you can order those, and it just deducts the money. It's a very simple paradigm. So as you run out, you can easily add money, to your account. So via a purchase order or with like a credit card, there's no waiting for funds. If you use a credit card, you can instantaneously add funds to your account. Purchase order would just take us to however, once you fax it in, we would process it and put the money into your account. So it makes it very easy. The other thing is you have all your information regarding your pricing and everything, and your usage of certificates is contained right within the same portal. It can show me exactly what I have for money and what I used in the last 30 days, and then I can drill down and show what I bought recently. I just wanted to jump into, because the two core kind of the use cases we discussed, webs, for instance, for SSL certificates, we have a tab here called Manage SSL. Manage SSL allows you to basically be able to come here and order all your SSL certificates from one singular location. The nice thing about the way that Manage SSL works is that the first step, and when we get you set up, is that we would set up a profile which would have the information, the distinguished name information would get stamped on your certificates when you issue them. You can then easily pre-vet all your domains. So I have some demo domains here, different ones. We even allow public IP addresses, which we can also authenticate, very similar to a domain, tie it back to your organization. You can have those already set up and ready to go, and then you can instantly issue certificates to those domains without having to go through a serial vetting process every time you want to get a certificate. We support both organizationally validated and extended validated certificates, so you can get pre-authenticated for both organizationally validated and EV certificates, which produce the green bar and give the additional information about your organization. You can very easily add new domains as you acquire companies or do say marketing campaigns where you buy domains for specific types of campaigns. For instance, you can easily add those domains to your account. They'll get vetted within, depending on the type of vetting you want for that domain, anywhere from 2 business days for an OV to 4 to 5 business days for an EV. If we have a lot of that information, it could be quicker as well. You also, at any time, if you're just using organizationally validated certificates, you can always upgrade to EV vetting and provide us that additional information and upgrade your account to be able to order EV certificates as well. The nice thing about having a managed services is that you can also very granularly limit who can order certificates. You can assign, we have a whole concept of users. We don't charge you to add users to your account. You can add people to your account, and then you can decide which people by domain, if you want to get really granular, which domains you can decide who can place orders, approve orders, or even revoke certificates. So you have very granular delegated administration capabilities inside the system. You also have the concept, which I'll show you in a little bit, of a public ordering page too. There's different ways to get orders into the system. You can use our user interface here, which is very easy to order a certificate. You can assign users. As I said, you can have multiple users have access to this system. And then they can basically come in here and place orders for certificates if they, they can build all types of certs. I mean, I'm vetted for the organizational level certificates, so I can come in here. I can choose the various organizational certs that are available to me. I have, just standard SSL, single domain certificates, wildcard certificates. I can even, as I mentioned, order a certificate for a public IP address. You can order anywhere currently from a 6-month to a 5-year certificate, although just as a caveat, as many of you may know, the CA browser form is soon deprecating the 4- and 5-year option, so we'll be able to offer anything from 6 months to 3 years coming soon. We also have very robust support for subject alternative names. Subject alternative names are a way to basically build what I would consider sometimes referred to as multi-domain certificates. In the Microsoft Exchange mail server world, they're referred to as UCC, but you can choose, have up to 100 entries into your certificate, the common name plus 99 other entries as SANs, and they could be either individual, subdomains of the top level domain you put in. They could be a different pre-vetted domain that you have. Could even be, we actually added recently the concept of wildcard SAN, so you could add wildcards as a SAN. So if you have some range of host names that you need to secure, sometimes wildcards can help you there. You can add IP addresses, and currently these are some other changes. You can add internal server names and internal IP addresses. But again, that's going to be going away as of November of 2015. You won't be able to or actually November of this year, you won't be able to issue 2014. You won't be able to issue any more internal host names because everything will need to be verified in a certificate. We also, just a note, if you're bringing a certificate over from a competitor, you can switch that on, and it will go out and find your certificate, find any remaining time you have left on your current certificate, and it will transfer that time over to your new GlobalSign certificate very easily. Just wanted to quickly, I'm going to go back to the domains and profiles. So that would be, using the user interface. We also have a API that you can use. We have documentation, technical documentation that's available to any customer. If you want to, tie it into existing systems and existing workflows, you can use our API. The other option is if you don't want to give people access to the system and you want to kind of have a quick and easy request page for people to go and to enter an order, and then you could view it and approve it. We have this concept of a public ordering page, which you can set up. You can limit. It's basically an HTML page. It has a unique link that's the same as your. It's unique to your account. Ties back to only your account. You can select various options you may want to provide or not provide. You can actually also add custom fields to that form too if you want to collect other types of business information, such as like a cost center code, which we tend to see a lot now, where people are trying to tie certificates back to different parts of the business. You can enter up to 10 of these custom fields and kind of force them or not force them to enter those values into the orders. Those orders get pushed into our, into our system, and then you would be able to report on those things through our reporting capabilities. So it's just another way of being able to have people place orders into the system easily. Any of those orders that go through the public ordering page basically would queue up here, and you would have to approve them to have them be released. So none of those would get released without one of the administrators on the account going through and viewing the order and approving it. So that's kind of a high level of the SSL system. Conversely, we talked about some of the other use cases, such as user authentication, machine authentication, document signing. We have a whole, other system that is designed for issuing client credentials to users. We have different types of credentials that are available, such as we have specialized. I'll just kind of go here and show you. I go to order. We actually have currently we have three different types of certificates that you can load into this. These again would be bound to a user. Unlike an SSL certificate is bound to a domain name or a machine, a client credential would get bound to an actual individual. So there's very specific workflows in here to help you tie this back to the individuals. But we have our traditional kind of personal sign digital certificate, which is a Windows certificate, which could be used again for going back to the use cases, for user authentication, could be machine authentication as well, could be used for document signing in the Microsoft Office world, and could be used for secure email, for securing Microsoft Outlook, for digital signatures on your email, as well as encryption of email. We also have specialized credentials for iOS, which can be pushed out to iPads, iPhones, any type of iOS-based device. These can be used to authenticate those devices to your corporate network or to applications as well. And then we have specialized credentials for Adobe Acrobat. Adobe has a program called the CDS, or Certified Document Service. We have specialized credentials that are used to sign PDFs. PDFs have their kind of, Acrobat has its own trust chain, so it doesn't natively recognize a Windows, certificate. It really depends on its own chain of trust that they have hardwired into Acrobat, and we can provide these, and this gives you a trusted document within signed PDF files as well. Much like the SSL product, we have different options for getting certificates. Admin could just come in here and select they know they need to get a certificate to a particular employee, choose the right type of certificate they want, and they would just go through filling out the common name, which would be the person's name, The pre-vetted, again, we use just like the SSL, we use a pre-vetted profile. We've already done the heavy lifting on vetting your organization. So that information would be already stamped in here, and all you'd have to fill out is the variable information, the person, their email address, to issue the certificate. This would be kind of a one-to-one if I just needed to get a cert to somebody. I also have the option of doing a bulk upload. I mean, many organizations are going to roll out client certificates. They might have hundreds of users, thousands of users in some cases, and they would be able to easily come in here and select the type of certificate they want, and then with a within a CSV file, they can upload a CSV to our system, and it could have hundreds of users, and they would just follow this format here, and it would automatically go out and propagate out all those invites to those, you know, how many users you have in that CSV file. So that makes it easy to get it out to many people. Similarly, we have the same kind of concept as a public ordering page with the EPKI system. So you can also have a request page that you could send somebody a link and have them enroll for a certificate. And you'd have to approve that enrollment. You can see the links here. The public ordering page would, you know, basically collect the same information I showed you just before. They didn't put their name and their email address. They'd submit that to you. You'd get a notification. You'd go in and view it, and you'd approve it, and then they'd get the pickup link to pick up their certificate. So you can basically, you know, have a similar kind of workflow. Additionally, there is also API. There's an API for this part of the system as well, a separate API. So if you want to tie into the system programmatically, you could do that as well if you want to feed it orders. We have a number of customers that have other systems, request systems that they've built in-house, and they basically feed the request via the APIs. There's a number of configuration options on on the portal. You can customize the look of the portal. The same with the SSL public ordering page. You can add a logo and so forth, and basically, you know, basically have a custom page that looks like it's your organization when they come to request a certificate, and you could post that link up on the intranet or other areas. So you can also, we have this concept in both MSSL and in the Enterprise PKI. We have the concept of, you know, being able to customize the profiles. You can have multiple profiles. So if you're a complex organization, you can basically have different profiles for different parts of different organizations of subsidiaries with their own information on a certificate. You can also, in the EPKI system, you can you know, change certain aspects, whether you want them to be able to support the like for Windows certificates, whether you want it to support encrypted file system, whether you want the certificate to be exportable or not exportable. There's different options that you have regarding the way the certificate's delivered. You can also have different renewal processes in place. So if you want it to be manual, where basically you have to they would have to do a new request, or you could have it do, you know, all the way to a quick renewal where there's almost zero intervention by the administrator. Would just send out the notices. A person could come using their existing certificate, authenticate themselves, and get a new certificate without any work done by the administrators. So very, very easy to manage the life cycle of the certificates. In all cases, we have you know, robust reporting as well across all the systems. In MSSL, you can basically go in and you know, again, find all your renewals. Same with EPKI. Very easy to come in and quickly run reports, pre-canned reports that show me what's coming up for renewal in the next 90 days. You can get into more complex searches if you're looking for specific things, for instance, you know, and who might have processed the order, the status of orders. You can come in here and look at when the certificate was issued and do date ranges. So you can slice and dice your certificate, you know, all the information. It's all being collected in one spot, so you'll be able to report on all your certificate usage. And basically in here, if you come into orders, you can drill down. There's all kinds of information. There's very, very detailed information about every aspect of the certificate that's been delivered. So people can look at audit logs and you know, take a look at various aspects of the certificate. They can come in here and reissue certs. You can revoke it. You can add, remove SANs. In the SSL world, we have this concept of being able to come back to a cert that you've already issued, and you can add additional host names or FQDNs to it by coming back to the original order, and you can add SANs. So very, you know, there's all kinds of audit information here. If you ever had an issue with a particular certificate, you want to track the various communications that went out regarding that certificate. It's all tracked within inside both either the MSSL or the Enterprise PKI portal. With that, I think we're coming to kind of the end of that, trying to keep this to a half an hour and in deference to everybody's valuable time here. So I wanted to kind of flip back to the presentation. Just talk a little bit about, we mentioned a little bit about, you know, how do these systems we have, you know, potentially integrate into the corporate enterprise. We have something that's new. It's a newer solution that we've introduced this year called the Auto Enrollment Gateway. But basically what this would provide is this would, you know, fully tie your system into your Microsoft environment. So if you were potentially currently running, say, a Microsoft CA, and you were trying to, you know, issue trusted certificates, or you were doing more complex use cases, and you didn't want to be running your own PKI environment, you basically could use our cloud services and tie it right into your back-end Active Directory systems using your group policies on how certificates get issued, and basically tie the GlobalSign cloud services directly into your corporate enterprise. So we have a lot of customers that may have been, like I said, running a Microsoft CA that want to either, you know, don't have the expertise in-house or want to do some more advanced things and don't want to have the all the necessary hardware and security to run their own CA. So they can can allow you to tie our cloud systems, both MSSL and Enterprise PKI, right into your corporate enterprise. So just as a, you know, just recap, you know, again, this type of a platform, I didn't really go into some of the other certificates. You can get code signing from the same portal, so all of your certificates could be issued from this one portal. You can have multiple users and have people accessing it and have audit trails of everything that's going on. And because you're buying certificates more in bulk and you're aggregating the usage of all your certificates across the enterprise into a single place, you're going to get the maximum benefits from reducing your costs as well as the lifecycle management issues when things expire, things go wrong. So, you know, you have a singular place where you can manage the entire lifecycle of your certificates. So with that, we wanted to, you know, take any questions that people might have had throughout the system and the demo. If there's any questions, I'm just going to pull up here. We did have someone asked a question about expand on your delegated user permissions and can, you know, set at the domain level multiple profiles. You do have, again, at both levels within MSSL and EPKI, you do have very robust delegated administration. You can limit people by specific domains, specific profiles. If you're, again, if you're like a complex organization that has multiple divisions or subsidiaries, you can easily you know, set those permissions at the profile level so that, say, one organization would only be able to access domains associated with that organization. So it's very, very easy to do that. And then there was a question about the dollar-based system. Does that work across the entire platform? It does. If you put money in there, That money can be used for any type of certificate. It could be used for SSL certificates via the MSSL tab. Could be used for buying license packs of client certificates in the EPKI area. Could be used to buy the code signing, which organizations don't typically have a lot of those. So you could buy a code signing certificate. There's even, if you don't need, say, a lot of client credentials, there's ways to buy individual credentials, say for Adobe, if you had a very specific application or user in your enterprise that needed to sign PDFs, you could just buy a one-off PDF signing certificate without having to set up EPKI either. You could just use the money in the account for that as well. We'll also, somebody had asked about being able to see this, where I think we're going to make this available online shortly, and we'll have the presentation, I believe, available as well if somebody wanted to get a copy of the presentation. There was one other question here I just wanted to cover quickly. It was about APIs. Do they work for all types of certificates? There are different APIs there's an API currently for the managed SSL system. There's an API for the enterprise PKI. There are separate APIs, but we have very detailed documentation. If somebody's interested, we can obviously get you a copy of that. And there was one last question about unlimited server licensing. Is it truly unlimited? We do provide unlimited server licensing. Some vendors have counts on how many systems you can put it on. If you have a certificate, you can take that same certificate and you can propagate it across your, as many servers as necessary. So if you're running load balanced environments, you're running like an F5 box and you've got 20 sites, 20 mirror sites behind it, you can terminate that one certificate and cover all those servers behind it. Similarly, if you're not even using load balancing and you've got multiple servers, failover servers or something, you can obviously put the certificate on those servers as well. There's no limitation. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have. Greatly appreciate everybody's time today. I hope this was useful. There's a lot more information, a lot more depth to the products. I can only cover so much, but I would encourage you to contact us. One of the ways we have up here, we'd be more than happy to do a custom demo for somebody if they have specific areas of interest, and we would look forward to speaking to you. And again, thanks for your time and appreciate your participation today. Thank you.